How are you guys all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Doing fantastic. I hope I'm on time.
Yep, you're exactly on time. We're just getting started. And I was just telling these guys it's kind of a small crowd. I'm going to keep an eye on people as they enter the room. Um, so you may lose me for a minute. I've joined here with Bonita Madden. She is our administrative assistant at Door-Tran, and Joanne Morris over my right shoulder. She is our board member and a volunteer driver with Door-Tran. So um, it's not just me having like a devil and an angel on my shoulder.
I can see that.
It'll peek in periodically. Maybe she's working though. Somebody's got to continue to do transportation related things. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 1:00. I went through my own introductions kind of without calling the meeting to order. So I'll go ahead and go around the room. Christine, if you want to just tell us where you're from or your name and where you're from.
My name is Christine Anderson. I'm the executive director of the Washington Island Community Health Program. Do you want anything else?
Nope, that's good. John?
Sure, John Jarsh with Destination Door County.
All righty. And I see you, MB Han, but
Yeah, there I am. I need to update that. So, my name is Michael Hanrahan. I'm here with Door County Express, new shuttle company that I'm bringing to Door County, which is actually going to be connecting from Carlsville, Egg Harbor, up to Fish Creek, returning once an hour every hour from Wednesdays to Saturdays.
good, good. Aaron, you are next. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
There, how's that?
Perfect, thank you.
I'm Erin Sakala. I'm a social worker at Door County Medical Center.
All righty, Joe, I know you're not sitting yet.
Hello, everybody. Joe Krebsbach from Door County Department of Health and Human Services.
Excellent. Amanda.
I'm Amanda with Destination Door County.
And Marty.
Marty Olechek, City of Sturgeon Bay Community Development Director.
Becky. Rebecca, can you hear us? Becky? I'm assuming it's Kerwin. Doesn't have video, no audio. So I guess we'll skip over then to Paula. You're next on my screen. We're just doing introductions, where you're from or what role you play in transportation.
I am Paula Louise. I work at Nicolay Bank and I'm the Door-Tran board president.
Perfect. Dick Johnson, do you want to unmute yourself? And I don't know if you have a screen at home or not today, or where you're at. Oh. Becky says, I am here, but have no video or audio. So she'll be listening in. And Dick Johnson, I'll do it a little. Oh, there he is. I did.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. We can hear you and see you.
All right. I'm a Door-Tran board member and a vet driver.
Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Again, I'll just continue to monitor people if they enter the room. I sent out a packet for this meeting to help people kind of take a look at what's been happening in transportation. So I have minutes attached. We don't have to go over those. They don't need approval. It's just simply to keep us apprised of what has taken place in the past. So if anybody has any questions, though, I'm happy to entertain any of those on those minutes. Otherwise, we'll just continue to keep moving along. I want to respect your time, but still, I think it's important that we get together quarterly. That's what was decided last year. So we're going to continue to hopefully gain traction on that. Updates for TRIP is the re-sign your TRIP member contract. If there is someone in your agency, you feel like, hey, our agency needs to be at the table when it comes to transportation, just that commitment. That's what it is. It's helping to promote transportation. It's saying, hey, we'll have some representation at these quarterly meetings and make sure that everybody within your agency knows that we want to be that point of contact when it comes to transportation. So when people call us, we are not in the dark of what different initiatives are going on, and if there might be funding available, if there might be other people who are fulfilling that need or also have that same need. So if you can just re-sign that contract if possible, that would be helpful. I included in this, speaking of unmet needs, I included in our packet the number of unmet needs that we hear about at Door-Tran. We know it's not inclusive. We know we're hearing just a small piece of it. And in fact, I just heard from Jenny Fitzgerald, who was updating the ADRC's aging plan and said transportation continues to show up as an unmet need, as we need, to have resources for that. So whether it's advertising or just, expanding services, whatever that looks like, we need to hear about that. So this shows we're just hearing a very, very small bit of those needs. So again, you guys are on the ground in meetings. If you hear something, let us know or send them in our direction so that we can continue to track those needs. And then it shows on that second part of what I sent out in that packet, it shows what the unmet need has been. It's primarily in that employment, transportation, vehicle assistance kind of thing. So, but a very small amount over the last 2 years, 3 years. So that's just a nice visual. I also wanted to include the WHAM state and federal priorities. So I am part of the Wisconsin Association of Mobility Managers statewide. And what they do is they talk to our legislators and educate them, let them know what's happening in transportation, the decisions that we're making, how that impacts our local programming. So I wanted to put that on there just so you guys are familiar with what it is that we feel needs to be addressed at the state and at the federal level. A lot of funding, it comes down to a lot of funding and just making sure they're understanding some of the programming that we're doing and making decisions to benefit those programs. For instance, the mileage rate for tax purposes, they want to increase that. They, instead of using the 14 cents a mile, which has been on forever and ever for volunteer drivers, they want to increase that to help. We're at a shortage of volunteer drivers statewide. We're pretty lucky up here. Kim has been able to sustain that at Door-Tran, but that's just one of the priorities that they're working on. Another thing is volunteer driver insurances. Many of the insurance companies that are out there recognize us as transportation network providers. So like TNCs are Uber and Lyft and those types of providers. And they're bulking our volunteer drivers, and they're thinking that our volunteer drivers are making bank and they won't insure them. And it's really fulfilling that human service need. So just educating those legislators on how their decisions are impacting our local programs. So again, I just included that in there so that, whatever reading that you want to use it for, it's important to know that those are bigger initiatives that are happening statewide. As always, I'm always interested in if you are around another table and people are not knowing about TRIP, let them know about us, send them in our direction, shoot me an email. Hey, I think these people should be at the table. I just met Michael in the parking lot the other day of Door-Tran. He was going to the Department of Transportation, DMV, to get some information. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I see the wrap on your vehicle. Tell me. And so he's at the table. So thanks for joining us today, Michael, and welcome. So again, if you're in some space that you feel like transportation needs to be addressed in that space, invite them, to us or me to them. I'm happy to talk to anyone. And then something that I wanted to discuss is the dynamics. I know transportation can always be a barrier. That's why we're here. So we continue to offer, I think, the hybrid meetings, although a lot of people want to be in person. You can see it as a smaller group. So it is a much larger group overall. So people are really busy. How do you feel about meeting in person? Is that a priority, or should we continue to offer this hybrid version? And I'm completely open to any of it. I see benefits on both sides, and I want to encourage participation, however that is. But I certainly wanted input from this space, from this group. Does anybody have any comments on whether we should remain hybrid, or if we should try an in-person, or at least a minimum, maybe in-person once a year, which we can fulfill that at our annual meeting for Door-Tran in April. But I know April's busy too. So any thoughts, or should we just continue to be hybrid?
Well, my vote is this works better for me.
Right,
But
right.
that's because of my traveling
Christine is
circumstances.
on the island, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, so this works much better for me because I had 3 other meetings today, so I'm not missing anything up here.
I always enjoy connecting with others. It's a little bit different experience one-on-one, but the virtual makes it very accessible. And I'm willing to bet the majority of these individuals probably can't make it if it was just in person. So I'm grateful that I can, just jump on this call. It's nice to have that as an option.
So I think we'll continue then to offer it as a hybrid. What I'm thinking of possibly doing is, like today I'm joined with, a couple of folks, and there might be connectivity issues for other people. So I might look for a larger space and still offer that virtual, that hybrid version, but still offer space to come together as well for the future meetings. So be prepared for that. But Zoom will, I think, remain an option. I think that's a really good thing for this group. So provider updates, I just received an email from Pam. She is the transportation manager for the door-to-door system and Door County Connect for Door County. And she said she apologized. She couldn't be here last minute. She's out running routes today. The only update that she had for the meeting is the RFP went out today for their shared ride taxi system. So that's a 5-year contract. So she put it on VendorNet today. She's really excited. She said she's never done this part of it before. She inherited that program when she moved over to the county 4.5 years ago. So, she's super excited. She's hoping that she gets some bids on that contract. It's currently served by Abby Vans out of Neelsville, and they've done a phenomenal job since the beginning. But certainly, as things evolve and change, it has to be opened up. That kind of dollar amount has to be competitive bid. So, and she also wanted to say, ridership is up, and I'm assuming that's why she's not here today. So thanks for continuing to send people to the door-to-door service, and it'd be great to have that service even expand on what it is. But we're very, very grateful that she was able to get over at the helm at the county and save that system 4.5 years ago, and really gain some allies at the county level to support that system, because as we heard in the beginning, transportation is not something that a county has to provide. Something like human services, Joe Krebsbach, he knows all too well, they have to provide the human services. They don't have to provide transportation. So if you see your county board members, always be thanking them for the support of that program, because that is over 40,000 rides a year. Probably even more so since Pam took over, and it's expanding. People are hearing about it. There's more traffic. There's more younger people choosing not to drive. It's very saturated with employment transportation. So it's helping all of us get employees, all of those in the service industry. So moving people, she's doing a great job there. So Door-Tran, I already talked about those WAM priorities. I guess I moved that. So not many updates here. We're always looking for volunteer drivers. We are running several programs here at Door-Tran. For those of you who don't know, we have a half-price taxi voucher program to use with our private taxi drivers. They offer a service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They don't take any holidays, no vacations. They have coverage all the time. So if people are Door County residents, we can offset their costs if they're finding, they get done with work at 2 o'clock in the morning and they have to hail a taxi, call a taxi and arrange those services. We can offset half of that cost. We are have agreements currently with Door County Cab, Jimbo's Express and Shuttle. We have an agreement with Choice Mobility and True Way Transport as our local providers. And then outside of that, we do have providers in Kewaunee County and Brown County as well, including a company called Ready Lock that does like high-risk transports, mental health issues or combative, that sort of thing, PTSD. So there's a lot of different options that we have here and a lot of different partnerships going on and little moving parts. We also run a volunteer driver program for our veterans that offers free medical transportation outside of Door County. If they're going for mental health, for medical, for vision, dental, those sorts of things, we can offer them that free transportation. We are looking currently into that program to make sure it's being utilized the way it was intended to be. In the beginning, Pam and I were going to meet tomorrow. Beth from the County Veteran Service and I have already been in communication. So we are just trying to make sure that we're still on the same page with that program and offering that. Many times we get a vehicle from the county of Door to utilize for that program, and we have Door-Tran's volunteer drivers that are approved to drive those vehicles. We reserve the van from the ADRC, the Door County Connect, on Thursdays. There's many days specialists are not available on Thursdays, so they're going on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday. Around those hours, we will either try to get a county pool vehicle or we will put them in our volunteer driver program. So they're a little bit different. The veteran program offers free transportation between the County Veteran Service Office, who charges, they pay for the fuel for that vehicle. And then Pam's department, the transportation department, covers a heavy load of that, and she covers the vehicle, the maintenance, the inspections, the cleaning, and all of that goes around that program. So if she can use it locally on, say, 30 rides versus sending someone to the Green Bay VA, that's only considered 2 rides there and back. We're going to want to keep it probably local and then send them through the county-wide program. So the county-wide program is for anyone else for any other reason between Door, Brown, and Kewaunee counties. They have to be a Door County resident in order to utilize that program. And again, that's limited funding, so we want to make sure they're residents. And then they can get for whatever purpose between those counties. If they want to go for socialization, if they want to go for nutrition, medical, we have people that end up going to the airport, those types of things, we can take them. That is volunteer drivers using their personal vehicles, reimbursed anywhere from, they're reimbursed 10 cents. Pardon me. Oh, they are reimbursed 50 cents a mile, and our riders pay anywhere from 10 cents to 40 cents per mile to offset those costs. So that is a huge program that has been very, very well utilized. We were a little slow in like February, thought it was super weird, and now it's exploded. Like, we don't know why, but people are calling in droves. So that program is really big. And again, it's Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it doesn't count, it doesn't get those nighttime, those weekend traffic, it doesn't catch all that. So we have those options. We have a half-price gas voucher program for folks that are traveling to and from employment. It's very, very limited funds for that. We also have a purchase and loan vehicle repair, loan repair and purchase program. No interest. It's a revolving loan fund, and they are encouraged to pay those loans back, and then the money goes back into the program for other folks. They have to be under 150% federal poverty level. They do have to be either working or involved in like DVR, Invest, Dream, Achieve, some type of employment recruitment, employment betterment program. So, and those are up to $5,000 for a purchase, up to $750 for a repair loan. So those are really nice for that employment transportation piece. So we also have the final program that we have here at Door-Tran is a repair grant program for vehicles, and that helps folks on a fixed income repair their vehicles. So somebody that can't make hustle and go pick up a side job and pay for those repairs, they may be very limited. So we can offer them kind of a one-shot deal on that. So those are my programs. I know I threw a lot of information at you. I saw Joe unmute. I saw Amanda unmute. So I'm going to open it to anyone that might have questions or comments at this time, or if it was just coincidence that I saw that.
Nikki, I'm wondering, you mentioned that you have a contract with ReadyLock.
Yes.
Is that the half price?
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't aware of that, and I'm not sure that my staff are, but we do have folks occasionally that we will do that transport with for a voluntary when people want to go to the hospital middle of the night, and law enforcement won't take them, and we don't have funds, so that we pay for it, but the client ultimately gets charged back. So we could send them to you for a request.
Absolutely. And Joe, I'd be interested in talking to you for some of those. We have different partnerships with the hospital and Help of Door County, similar to that, those after hours types of transports where, and the jail, in fact, where if they do need a transport, then they go ahead and do the transport. We cover half, they cover half, and we invoice them after. The taxi provider will invoice Door-Tran the whole amount, and then we'll invoice, human services for half or whatever it is. So we could probably come up with an MOU or, work on that, work through some of that. So
that'd be great, because I think it just becomes a barrier for people to get there. So
yeah. And then in return, what we ask is that, hand them a flyer, know how it was paid for. What did this partner, how did this come about, so that in the future we can be proactive instead of reactive, and maybe identify those needs ahead of time so that they're utilizing the services that are available to them already.
All right, cool.
Perfect.
And then I was curious about, I'm sorry, I missed your name, but the new service that is going from Carlsville North. So, because I'd like to get the details of that out to my team as well. I'm sure we have clients that would use that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very glad to talk about it. And this is one of the reasons Nikki brought me over here. And very fortunate to run into you. Timing was amazing. So yeah, if I can have a minute, I can just kind of show everybody a sneak preview of it. So I'll do a screen share. Unless it's disabled. Are you able to?
I don't have it. Can I just pause you for a minute? Erin Zakala from the hospital does have to jump off for another meeting. I'm gonna, if you don't mind me letting her share real quick before she jumps off, and then I'll see if I can share.
Yeah, you just let me know whenever.
Okay. Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Michael.
Hi. Well, I was actually going to type it in the chat, but I'm not very good at using the chat. So I'll just tell you quick. And I'm sorry that I'm going to miss the update about the new service. I'll have to circle back on that because I'd like to hear about that too. Just a couple of things I wanted to say. We continue to work with Door-Tran, sharing the cost of transportation when patients can't afford that or don't have another resource to help them pay for transportation. So we utilize our ministry fund or Imelda's Hope Fund to pay for half of those transports, and then Door-Tran pays for half. So that's been a wonderful partnership that we have had and has helped us to stretch our funds considerably. The other thing that I wanted to share with you specifically, Nikki, is that I have heard more concerns raised since MTM took over the Medicaid transport. While it was Veo, and I understand that it truly is the same company, I guess MTM purchased Veo, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, while it was Veo, it seemed to go really well. And since it's become MTM again, people have had trouble utilizing that service. And, what we're really trying hard to do to preserve our funds is to make sure that if people have Medicaid and they are eligible for that transportation benefit, they're utilizing it. But the issue is that they're not always able to access and utilize that benefit. So I just wanted to pass that along to you.
Well, and that's nice because I am going to give the MTM update. This is going to be recorded, but Aaron, let's you and I chat because I am part of the Transportation Advisory Council for non-emergency medical transportation. So DSH is at the table. I can bring you to the table if you're interested. MTM is at the table. So it's a huge group of people. There's a lot of ADRCs and Health and Human Services at that table. There are some consumers that attend. So let's you and I get together and get you at that table as well, or at least get some information from you so I can help you guys advocate on behalf of them.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. And I guess the only other thing I would say is we use door-to-door on a daily basis. We've had a lot of success utilizing Door County Connect too, and appreciate kind of sometimes having a little more flexibility and a little more personal touch with that service. And through our ministry fund, we also have recently joined with you guys in helping people purchase vehicles where they needed to have a down payment. And so we could help contribute to that down payment for them so that they can, continue to be employed and engaged in the community. So thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Aaron. Michael, I'll shift it back over to you then before I go back to the non-emergency medical transportation so you can answer Joe.
Sounds good. And I'll be quick with everything too. I just dropped my contact information into the chat. So if any of you guys want to connect with me a little bit later, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect with you. So do I have the capability of screen sharing, Nikki?
Yep, you should now. I enabled it.
Okay. Share. So what I have here, and just let me know if you guys are able to see everything.
I can see it. Yep.
Perfect. So I put together it's a hop on, hop off transportation system. It's a shuttle that operates from Carlsville, Door Peninsula Winery up to Egg Harbor. We have One Barrel brewing. We have Newport. Then we head up to Fish Creek. We have Top of the Hill shops, Fish Creek Beach, and then White Gull Inn. So individuals can purchase, I'm sorry, the name of the company is Door County Express or Door Co Express for short. And individuals can purchase the Over Easy Pass. They can just jump onto the website, or with all these establishments and other local vendors, they would be able to purchase this straight from a retail store or at the counter of a hotel. Individuals have a choice of a single ride pass that will get you from point A to destination, or two rides if you're just looking to get from Carlsville up to Fish Creek, and that's all you need, and back. Then you have the two ride. But I think most individuals would be looking for the day pass, which allows hop on, hop off at any time. So I'll be running the route from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday. We do operate seasonally. It's going to be July until end of October. And you can see a few of our stop locations that we have right here. You can see our schedule as far as when we would be arriving, when individuals can hop on and hop off. Now, it is just myself. I have a long-term goal, which I will reach Green Bay up to Gills Rock. But until then, I'm just growing. So all of your support is amazing, just to be able to hear and to be able to talk about it. So here's the locations that we do have established, and I'm working to develop this website to make it a little bit more smooth, a little bit more efficient, just so it's one-stop shop to go just to purchase your pass, hop on, and get to where you need to go and enjoy Egg Harbor and Fish Creek and Door County. But you have the ability to choose a date. There are limited tickets just because I only have so many seats available in the vehicle. You can add however many you'd like. And you can just purchase your ticket. At that point, you do get a QR code. And I have the ability to go ahead and scan that QR code. Or if for some reason there is any sort of issues in the first part while I'm starting up, I'm going to be there to be able to help the individual guide them through. So your feedback as far as user information, if you guys want to glance through that, that's always appreciated. So, but that's what I have.
All righty. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for him, or should we just keep moving along? All righty. Hearing none. I'll go ahead and give the non-emergency medical transportation updates. I know it doesn't always apply to everyone in this room. However, when you're out and about and there, you might be at a restaurant or you might be at the doctor's office, you overhear someone who you know probably has Medicaid or Badger Care Plus, they are entitled, anyone receiving those benefits, to free medical transportation. And again, that can be medical in the form of vision, mental health, dental, whatever that looks like for them. They have one little part of a section of a page in their big binder when they get approved for Medicaid or Badger Care about their food share benefits. They have one little spot that talks about transportation. So many clients don't know about it. As Aaron said, it's a very clunky system. It's been around for 12 years. It used to be something that I think Health and Human Services covered, and they broke it away from the county's responsibility, and they made these statewide program where DHS hires a broker to provide these services. The broker then finds providers to provide these rides, and it's just not been a smooth transition. Obviously, again, it's competitive, so every 5 years or so it changes. When it changed about 5 years ago, VEO won the contract. It was by MTM, and they were awful. VEO was a new provider, and they won the contract. They were doing a fantastic job. Well, I should rewind a little bit. MTM rebutted that contract. It was awarded to VEO, and they fought it for like 2 years. It was finally reversed, or it was finalized, and they were told no. When they were told no, they didn't play nice in the sandbox. They went and bought VEO. So they were doing a phenomenal job. We weren't seeing nearly as many rides dropped. It's important. These are vulnerable people. These are folks with cognitive disabilities, mental health issues. Like, they can't just pick up and get in their car and go to an appointment like maybe you and I can. Could be financial battles, whatever it is. We need to help and make sure that they can get to their appointments. So we advocate at Door-Tran on behalf of those clients. And again, you heard me say I sit on this TAC, this Transportation Advisory Council. MTM will get in there and they'll say, oh, we're doing so good. We only have a 2% decline rate and everything's honky-dory and nobody complains. Their complaints are self-reported. It is reported within their confines of MTM. So it's kind of like, hey, Door-Tran's doing a really good job. Well, who did that review? I did the review. Of course, it's going fine. So it seems really silly that they're self-reporting. And we sit on these committees. I sit on this committee to try to make changes on that contract. MTM, which a lot of people don't know, is paid by DHS per capita. So if there's, say, 100,000 people on Medicaid in the month of July, say it's $1 a person. I don't know what their contract is. It's not part of the open records, and I have not been able to identify that. So say they're getting $100,000 a month to provide these services. Whether you use them or not, they get that money every single month without fail. So we want to advocate, because if they fail to provide those rides, guess who does? Door to Door, Door County Connect, the client, Door-Tran. Like, we're all limited on funds. They're already getting paid to provide this service. So we want to encourage and help make that system better so that they do provide those services. So yeah, they might have we only turn down 2% of the rides, but those 2% are people that are they very much need their medical appointments for multiple reasons. We heard of a little group up in Northern Door County that have thrown their hands up. They refuse to call MTM. They refuse to utilize them. They refuse to make MTM accountable for their problems. And they don't even want to work with them anymore. So they're trying to figure it out on their own. And again, MTM gets richer, right? I don't know that they're making bank, but I think they're making really good money. Door-Tran we get funding from the Department of Transportation, and it's reimbursable. We have to provide the ride and show that we did that and get reimbursed, where MTM says, I just get the money no matter if I provide it or not. So they're kind of untouchable. If we can make changes at this level, it's been probably about 2 years that we've been meeting, so we are making traction. A couple of years ago, I was able to get reimbursement for a ride that Door-Tran provided from MTM. So I fought it and fought it and fought it. I sit in other committees across the state. When other folks hear that I got reimbursed by MTM, they're like, please tell me how. I am happy to share that with anyone. I will shout it from the rooftops just to make them accountable and to help our funds go farther. So if you are in any kind of a space that you hear non-emergency medical transportation and there are issues, please encourage them to call us. I just worked with someone from Human Services the other day to try to get someone to their appointments for their medication, an injection that is super important that they have done. So happy to help anyone and support anyone there. It is now only called MTM. So during the transition from when MTM bought Veo, they had MTM Veo. So when you hear those simultaneously, it's not anyone wrong. It's finally, I think May 1st was when Veo was dropped, and now it's clearly strictly MTM across the board. So just to let everybody kind of know about that, it's an important piece in transportation. So Peninsula Transportation Coalition, Louise thought she would be here today. I don't see her on the call, and I did not receive any updates. I don't know if anyone on this call has anything. Has anyone contacted you, John? I know in the past they've maybe leaned into Destination Door County. No? Okay.
I have not heard anything, Amanda. I don't know if you have, but I have not heard any updates.
I have not heard anything either.
Okay. Again, they were formed in Northern Door County to try and combat some of the needs that those communities in Bailey's Harbor and Sister Bay were having. Sister Bay has a shuttle bus now when it's got a driver and when it's not in the shop. But that operates, I believe, Thursday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. So it's a really nice option to help with that congestion, to help with the bar crowd, especially, those sorts of issues up in Northern Door, that taxis are going to be very, very expensive, and they're not readily available up there. So certainly always an issue. I know years past, Louise was very into trying to get a bigger population of Uber and Lyft drivers. Not sure where she's at now that she's not with Sister Bay Advancement Association. And it did not get any updates from her. So
I'll just jump in and say that has been identified in our stewardship plan.
Yeah.
So those exact things that we're working on are things we continue to identify in our stewardship plan and see how we can support those efforts. So we're happy to talk to anybody or help support however we can if anybody's working on those efforts.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate that. Is that in the form of those community impact grants, those community initiative?
Yeah, so in our stewardship plan that we unveiled, that is called out in there. What I will say is certainly our community investment fund is perhaps a tool for communities to look at. For instance, Sister Bay, for their shuttle, they actually did get funds from the Community Investment Fund. So I would say it's definitely something for communities to think about as perhaps a model for, again, definitely not fixing the transportation issue, but as a part of the solution, I think.
Absolutely. Christine, I think we'll transfer this over to you to talk about what's going on the island. Oh, and Sunshine Resources, sorry, Jeremy's not here. I have not heard any updates from him, so I apologize. I skipped over that mentally. You're not in my head and you're lucky. So go ahead, Christine.
I don't know how much I have to report. I mean, the community van is up and running. For those of you who may not have heard, we have 2 vans. One is actually wheelchair accessible. I think it's similar to like going in the back, like the door-to-door vans. I haven't seen it, but it's a regular passenger van, so that's my impression. That's running, and as you know, Nikki, our medical travel fund program is very healthy and running at full steam ahead, and is greatly appreciated by our residents. For those of you who aren't familiar, we work with Door-Tran and Door Cancer on a travel fund program for when people have to travel off the island for either rehab or cancer treatment. We get reimbursed via Door-Tran at 50% on the passenger ferry cost, and then Door Cancer will reimburse us at 100% for those traveling who need cancer treatment for their vehicles. So, and then we've also been working with WISPACT, which has allowed us to kind of expand a little bit and offer more financial support to some other people that don't fall into that criteria. And that's about what I got. I don't have numbers, but you know numbers. You're the numbers girl.
I think there was 110 trips in June, because I just processed that yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just did that report for you. Yeah.
Otherwise,
No,
it was a little lower than last year, it seemed. It started out a little slower all around, but now for some reason, it's like people are just moving. They're moving and shaking.
It's picking back up, trust me.
Yep. So private taxi providers, we already heard from Michael, and I don't see anyone else on this call. So I think I'll go ahead and skip over that. Other. I think this is where I'm going to turn it over to John. I wanted to make sure that we touched base on, I was on vacation the week that we started hearing about the NFL draft and the impacts of tourism in Door County and what that might look like. So I was able to review that recording, but I wanted to invite them to this space as well, because I think it's important that transportation providers that are here already, lodging that might be in the room, or you might be aware of issues that we're kind of at least aware of what's going on or what initiatives are happening in this space and how that might impact our local travel as well. So go ahead, John.
Sure. Well, good to be with you all today. As you may or most of you probably have heard, the 2025 NFL draft is going to be in Green Bay, April 24th to the 26th, 2025. And they anticipate about 240,000 people being around for that particular event. Still a lot of unanswered questions, but what we do anticipate is that is the potential for business in Door County. Now it's late April. I know a lot of our seasonal businesses may traditionally not be open yet. So what we've been trying to do is learn as much as we can from the Discover Green Bay team, which is one of the partners to bring it here along with the Green Bay Packers. And so, like as Nikki pointed out, we hosted a meeting with the Discover Green Bay team 2 Fridays ago. I will post a link to the Zoom recording in the chat here in case anybody wants to pay attention. But the gist of it is just trying to share information to help our business community make more informed decisions about how they may approach it. We don't know off the top of our, right now at least, how many people may potentially be in Door County as a result of that. But what we do know is Green Bay's lodging sector is pretty much already full. And that was just essentially from the NFL and national and international media outlets essentially taking up all the rooms. So we definitely feel there's a possibility for lodging business that to come out of that. Simply because any fans that are going to be there essentially are going to have to stay in places other than Green Bay to find a place to sleep. So what that means to us, again, at this point, we don't know yet. We've looked at Kansas City and talked to them a little bit. We've also looked to Detroit. Detroit just hosted the draft earlier this year. Kansas City was in 2023, trying to get a feel for what it might look like for a place like Door County, which can be anywhere from 45 or 50 minutes up to an hour and a half away in terms of where somebody may be staying. One of the things we're looking at is potential, and this is where transportation comes in, the potential for transportation from lodging properties in Door County down to the draft grounds in and around Lambeau Field and Titletown, which is where the event itself primarily is going to be located. So Mike, I'll be getting an email to you to talk about possible transportation needs. Also reaching out to other transportation providers in our area to look at the possibility of shuttles. Certainly any other private entities that may be interested in working with us or any of our local lodging providers, be on the lookout for that. Some of the transportation companies we've reached out to just to have a conversation have already said no, they're not interested because of the potential for a very busy transportation corridor in and around Green Bay for that event. And so we're kind of learning as we go, but we're trying to put together some possible options from a transportation perspective. In addition to what we figure is a lot of people just driving their cars to and from, but it certainly is going to have a big impact on Northeast Wisconsin that final weekend in April of 2025. Partly good news is that it's a time that's typically not real busy for us. The first big event of the warm season isn't until the following weekend, which is the half marathon that takes place in Peninsula State Park. And so we definitely have room for business at that point in time. Again, we want to make sure to get as much information as we can to the local tourism industry and our local businesses in general, so they have a better understanding on, number one, if they should open up early, if it will be worth their while, and number two, what business could look like and how the flow of people and transportation related items is going to go as it relates to getting people to and from the Green Bay area for the draft event. So more to come. We certainly will be sharing more information with our partners, with the tourism industry, and with all transportation related providers here in Door County as we learn more about what it might look like. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have. Again, we're a little light on details right now, including a pivotal transportation plan that they told us there is being worked on. As soon as we have that and can share that, we definitely will with any transportation provider that might be interested in being involved in that. But it should be a pretty big deal for all of us here in Northeast Wisconsin. So happy to answer questions, and I will post that meeting link here shortly.
Say, John, were you already in touch with Pam at the county, and did she refer you over to the transportation coordinated plan to get an inventory of all the taxi providers, all the different providers, vans, vehicles, inventory?
I have not been. I don't know if Amanda, if you've heard anything, but I have not. So that's a great idea, though.
Yeah, that inventory is that was just updated earlier this year because she had to finalize the coordinated transportation plan for 2025 to 2028.
Okay.
So it is on the county's website as well. So public information, public knowledge, but it does have the inventory of all the providers, all the players, minus Michael. So, I'm glad you're going to reach out to him separately. And then anyone else that's maybe popped up since I think probably January, February, when she started, maybe December even, she started taking that inventory. So.
Okay. What it sounds like, what we've heard, anecdotally is that there's going to be essentially park and rides in and around Green Bay outside of where the draft is going to be held. So I know one of the places they've talked about that most likely people coming from Door County going down there would park at would be kind of around Bay Beach as a place to park, and then they'll have shuttles to get people down to the if you're driving, you'd take that, and then they'd have a shuttle to get you into the draft facility where that's going to all be located. There'll also be a spot for public transportation. So any transportation maybe coming from Door County down there, they'll have a spot somewhere right near where the draft hub is going to be, again, in and around Lambeau Field, where people will be able to get dropped off and or picked up. And so that's, we assume, going to be part of that transportation plan, but we haven't heard any details yet. So certainly, again, more to come on any of that. And we're also working and trying to work as best we can with our, tourism partners up here to help figure out, ways to go after some of that business. So we, on the Green Bay site, they have a link to local, destinations like us, the Fox Valley, Manitowoc, within a certain drive radius to Green Bay. And so that they can push visitors looking for lodging and other information. So we will have a page up probably in the next week or hopefully by the end of the month at the latest, that we're kind of using as a hub for draft related activity and packages and maybe any kind of transportation related information as it relates to Door County and potential visitors staying here and to head down to the draft. So lots more to come. So, but if anybody has questions or is looking for a contact, I'm sort of kind of the spearheading the efforts here at DDC. So feel free to share my information and they can reach out to me. I can add them to a list of people that we're tracking that want to learn more, or just do our best to answer questions for them. So appreciate the time today too. Thank you, Nikki, for the invite.
Thank you guys for attending, John and Amanda. Appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, hearing some of those numbers, they said they need around 300 buses in and around Green Bay area to get to the footprint from these park and rides and surrounding areas. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I think we should probably, at least let them know we exist and let, get everybody kind of communicating again about that. So good luck. And I hope it does bring some dollars here. And I hope, people are able to fulfill those needs if people are coming and need that transport. So again, moving right along, is there any unmet needs now? Listening to what you've heard today, is there something you need to report? Please let me know. If it's something you want to talk about right now, I'm opening up that space right now. I talked about having that report in there, but just want to make sure that people are aware that we are not hearing of too many unmet needs. So when people ask when you're ready to expand, until we start to hear those needs, so send them in our direction, whether it's your lodging saying, hey, my employees can't get there. We know there's problems with J1 visa students often. I know I heard from Denise Stillman I think it was at the coordinated planning, the transportation planning meeting, saying there's money, we just need providers. We need, space to be able to do that. So I think there's some coordination going on maybe behind the scenes for some of those. But again, let us hear about them so we can at least track them and try to connect people to those resources. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, October 9th at 1:00. Again, this will be Zoom. We will offer it hybrid. So I may look for, again, a space for people who want to be there in person and want to rub elbows. I'm certainly open to that. And then still offer something hybrid so that those that cannot be in person or shouldn't be away from their desks too long can at least participate because it's important. We did have someone join us late, Jasmine. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. If you can hear and see if you're able to unmute yourself and just kind of be like, hi, this is who I am.
Yeah, I would love to. So I am the administrator in training, the perm admin at Scandia Village up in Sister Bay. Soaking it all in still. I mean, I've been here for a while, but I'm still trying to figure out, we've changed our plans with transportation here a little bit too, with the clinic being closer now. And we've been using more public transport to do our transportations to Sturgeon Bay and just using our staff for going across the street. So it's very useful to be a part of this group.
Perfect. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything else? Otherwise, we'll give you a couple minutes back in your afternoon. Last minute comments, suggestions. Great.
Just want to thank everybody. If you see me out there, stop by. Like to meet you in person at some point, but thanks for everybody's time here.
Thank you. Oh, and Sue Farley, you came in late. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick before we adjourn?
Sure. I'm Sue Farley with South Door County. You've done an amazing job, Nikki, with us and working on our MOU, which we do utilize quite a bit with our clients. I'm sorry about the wonky grain. It's been messing around with me today.
Looks like your screen might be trashed, like it got hit or something.
I don't know. It's nice to be here.
Well, good. Welcome. Thanks, Sue. All righty. Anyone else? Anything else? Great. Thank you all for being here. We will be in touch and have a great day. Have a good summer.
Thanks, Nikki.
Bye-bye, everybody.